Okay, I think we can get started then, everyone. Hello, welcome to the kickoff for our Youth Empowerment Series. My name is Jessenia, and I'm joined here with Rijin, Hunyah, and Cynthia, and we will be your hosts for this series every week. So our sessions are 1 hour long every Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m., and please join us for weekly discussions and info sessions on topics that matter most to the youth in our society. So throughout these next 12 weeks, we'll be focusing on issues impacting youth and finding ways to address them, as well as promoting health and wellness, leadership, and responsibility among the youth. So now I'll pass it over to my co-hosts for everyone to give a brief introduction about themselves.
Yeah, so hello guys, my name is Rijin. I'm a grade 12 student who's currently going to pursue an engineering degree at the University of Waterloo in September. And I'll pass it to Hunyah to take over.
Hi everyone, my name is Hunyah. I'm a blogger and YouTuber. My background is in paralegal studies, and today I'll be discussing about mental health challenges during COVID-19. And now I'd like to pass on to my co-host, Cynthia.
Hi, my name is Cynthia and I'm a graphic designer. Today I'm going to be covering COVID's effects on education. I'm going to pass it on to Jessenia.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessenia. I'm a just finished my second year commerce student at Queen's University, and I'll be talking about COVID-19's impact on the job market for youth. So now I'll pass it back to Hunyah and she can go right into it.
Thank you, Jessenia. Due to the number of high cases around the world impacting the youth, we believe in raising awareness is essential for the youth to know how to stay protected during COVID-19. And now I pass on to my co-host, Rijin.
Yes, so it's hard to differentiate between a normal flu as well as COVID-19, right? That's because, there are many common symptoms: high temperature, dry cough, sore throat, and fever. So if you do guys have any symptoms like this, please don't let it go. It might be, you might think it might be a flu, but it might be also COVID-19. It's hard to differentiate. So please stay alert and think about people around you, even though, you might not think you might have it, but please, if you do have any of these symptoms, please book an appointment to test for COVID-19.
Thank you, Rijin. And now I'll be talking about behavioral impacts on the youth during COVID-19. So there is 3 points, and I'll be sharing those. So the first point is shorter attention span and harder to keep focused due to distraction at home. That could be like when someone's cooking, watching TV. We all have those days. Second, no longer be able to participate in extracurricular activities and social events. That means you can't go out and play basketball, or maybe go out with your friends, watch a movie, eat a dinner, enjoy, go to lakeshore, something like that. And third is decrease in amount of physical exercise and outdoor activities. That means most of the time we're sitting at home, we're working from home. It's not good. We have decreased amount of exercise. Now to the next slide. These are the statistics about the mental well-being and social challenges found in the Canadian statistics about youth. So here are some of the findings. 37.5% are youth are in depression, and 38.5% youth feel anxiety. That is because they don't know what to do. Sometimes they just can't find anything to do. So we often have those days. The third finding is that 40.5% of youth are irritable, and 44.4% of youth have shorter attention span. You know what I mean? We all sometimes lose attention from the work we're doing, like sometimes like schoolwork or something like that. If you have any thoughts, please comment below. And please share your thoughts. And now I pass on to my co-host.
Yeah, any thoughts about that, everyone? Some of the mental or social challenges, I guess, that we've faced? I know for myself, particularly, the attention span has been a big thing, being on Zoom, for all of your classes. And then even if you want to socialize with people, you also, again, have to be on a screen. So having that Zoom burnout is definitely something that I think, has been a big issue over the last year.
Yeah, so, I mean, even for me, I agree. Because of everything is online, you're not able to connect with your friends physically and see them and have that interaction that you used to have before the pandemic. And I feel like that really had a huge challenge on my life, especially, and that sometimes makes me more anxious about what I'm going to do after the pandemic.
True. So and also I was going to ask that when we work from home, sometimes most of the time we're sitting, that affects our eyes as well. So that eventually when we're being on the internet too much, we sometimes get depressed from being in there. So it's always good to go for some fresh air.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think we also had a comment from Emma in the chat too. She said, I agree, I've been distracted sometimes on school calls. So definitely, I can definitely relate to that.
Definitely agree. And now I pass on to my co-host, Jessenia, who will talk about employment opportunities during COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Hunyah. Yeah, so before we get into COVID's impact on the job market and job opportunities, let's watch this short video for a brief overview. No sound right now. Perfect. Thank you. So definitely COVID-19 has had a major impact on the labor market. And I know for myself as a university student, it's definitely been an increased challenge for myself and all of my peers for looking for job opportunities and internships for the summer. So that's something I can definitely relate to. And then I think going into it a little bit more, COVID-19 has not only affected the youth job market, but definitely had a severe impact on labor markets all around the world. So in Ontario alone, the province lost 355,000 jobs during 2020, making it the single largest decline on record. And then from this amount, young workers were hit the hardest, and the youth unemployment jumped to 22% province-wide. So this is a dramatic increase, considering the fact that many young adults attend college or university and must help pay for those tuition fees, as well as the fact that many young people are now facing the prospect of providing financial support to their parents to aid with the result of job losses or them working few hours every week. So that's an additional financial stress upon them. So to give a bit of history, even before the pandemic, young people faced a tough labor market, and those aged 18 to 24 were around 3 times more likely to be unemployed than those 25 and older. So the COVID-19 crisis created more obstacles for young people in the labor market. For job seekers, there's a lack of vacancies, and this is expected to lead to longer school to work transitions and leave many 2020 and 2021 graduates without any employment post-graduation. Young workers also risk losing their jobs amid the current wave of layoffs and the collapse of businesses and small startups. And prior to the outbreak, there was globally 178 million youth that were employed in sectors that were hit hardest by the crisis. So these include sectors such as food services, retail, restaurants, a lot of the areas where youth primarily spent most of their time working. However, I think it's important to note that in light of this pandemic, the current youth have been able to develop many skills that past years may have not been able to. So for instance, graduates who are graduating in 2020 and 2021 will be extremely resilient as they're up against so many odds, including the pandemic, uncertain job market, missed networking and college opportunities, and increased competition. And anyone who has graduated in these years should be proud of themselves and know that there are better days up ahead of them. The good news is that Canada has added 259,000 jobs in February 2020 alone, and the unemployment rate has decreased to 8.2%, which is the lowest it has been since the beginning of the pandemic. I would recommend to all youth that are looking for employment to contact their career centers in college and university to receive advice for seeking employment. In addition, the government has launched the Canada Summer Job Bank for youth aged 15 to 29, where there are additional job postings specifically for the summer. So now I'll pass it over to Cynthia, and she can go over the impact on the education system during COVID-19. But I guess before we get into that, if anyone has any comments or any experiences that they would like to share about their employment and job, please do.
Yes, regarding employment opportunities before COVID, I actually had a very difficult time finding employment. So some of the places I was unable to go there because either they took 2 hours or either where I live was very far away. Some of them were in downtown, so it wasn't practical for me to go every day. So because of COVID, I'm fortunate to have a job, and luckily I don't have to worry about commuting. So I think COVID benefited me a lot. That's all what I like to
Definitely.
add.
And I think that's one of the, I guess, positive aspects you can see about the job market, that a lot of jobs now are transitioning to online and work from home. So a lot of opportunities that maybe you couldn't take before because they were too far, or you couldn't travel every day consistently, lack of transportation, those are able to be done just sitting from home. So
I mean,
yeah.
like
And
I agree with that too, right? But like to a certain extent, because you want to travel around the world, you want to see the places too, right? And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that one of my friends said. Well, they were able to miss their co-op opportunity overseas, and they're able to not see like the attractions in one place, and they have to do it remotely now. And I feel like that's one of like the biggest disadvantage, because even though it is remote, you're not able to travel around now and see the place, when you go there, and that kind of takes away like a lot of the good experiences of traveling when you do work overseas, and when you have a good job, I guess that includes a lot of traveling.
definitely.
Like personally, I worked in a restaurant for 5 years, and that was up until March of last year because of COVID. So like other than the regular hours that we had, because the restaurant had to cut a lot of hours because not a lot of people were coming in. I was also worried about my own kind of safety. Like I didn't want to put my family at risk, just like working at the restaurant and being in such a close proximity of the customers. So I was really glad that I could work remotely, especially for my profession, which is graphic design. So yeah, that's how like I was able to transfer relatively quickly. However, for those who rely on jobs such as like restaurants and travel agencies, stuff like that, I can definitely see how they could be very impacted in income stance. And as for education, the biggest challenge is the students' access to learning, as they don't have the support that they're used to. It's much harder for them to keep focused during online classes because they're bored, lonely, and less motivated. And a lot of them feel like they didn't learn anything on their own. And this is especially so for students with ADHD. And that's due to not having a structure and someone to attend them. Students are also prone to more stress in school due to busy schedules, heavy workload, and concern about their grades. There's also stress of not knowing when virtual classes will end and the effects on their learning progress. During the lockdown, many youths had first signs of depression, felt disconnected to many people, had a lack of energy, and weren't motivated to do anything, which led to a rise in suicidal thoughts. There's also less physical exercise due to minimal traveling. Do any of you guys have anything to add to that, or anything you can relate to?
Due to what I know, that because during the lockdown, there has been a rise in mental health like cases, and that has been rising. So I think it's like probably it's the way how we're communicating right now, which I think would be much, if it wasn't for the lockdown, if we were to right now communicate in person, it would be different, and people won't be feeling loneliness or feeling anxious like this, how they're feeling now, like how they're feeling while having online schooling, because it does affect them overall. So that's just my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I think even the change how they've had to change curriculum, especially for some of my friends who are in STEM, and they used to go to labs and have a lot of in-class procedures that they would do that wasn't possible for the last 2 years almost. So changing that method of learning, making stuff that you would do hands-on online has definitely been a challenge, I think, for the education system. And again, online schooling as well. A lot of high school students, and university students, these are the best times of their lives. So having that and not being able to have that social interaction with their peers and missing graduations. I know, Rijin, you probably experienced that too.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard.
Yeah, I mean, like not only that, right? Like I missed my graduation, which is pretty sad. But at the same time, like because of the education system and how compressed things were now, like rather than doing it in 1 month, they're trying to do it in 2 weeks and 1 week. And I feel like that, adds on additional stress on people's lives. And the
True,
fact that
and
they
plus
can't.
with the government always talking about education curriculum changes, like there has been a lot of strikes previously too, and we don't know how the curriculum will be in the next year, although they have said that there will be online learning will be a permanent option for about the next 2 years, but still we don't right now all of these things, they're kind of overlapping each other.
I agree. I agree.
And for worldwide impacts on youth, there are nearly 1.6 billion students who have been impacted at the maximum point of school closures, which is 90% of the total student population. Based on a global level, research suggests that the world could lose up to 10 trillion US dollars as a result of school closures. Due to COVID-19, there has been a loss of 0.6 years in learning. This could lead to losing out on future opportunities such as additional earnings. And if anybody watching has any thoughts or comments about this, you can feel free to leave it in the chat and we'll try our best to get to.
So that's enough with the negativity, all right? So we can see how it impacts the education, the employment. But are there any other positive outcomes can you guys think of? So now I have listed a couple here, but anything else?
Yeah, I think one big of them is spending, as you mentioned here, time with family. You are not commuting as much anymore. You have more time at home. People are engaging in new hobbies that they didn't have before. Self-care, a lot of those things that you weren't able to do as much before. So
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, right? There's more attention to hygiene. Before, previously, we weren't washing our hands that often. Now it's like a regular thing. Now everyone's washing more like 4 to 5 times like a day now. It's just because, and on that, your that schedule that you have now, where you incorporate your good hygiene and keeping being more attentive and better, I guess, hygienic practices that essentially makes you more careful and you're more safe. And I feel like that's a really good thing that came out of this pandemic. And not only that, right now majority of the jobs are remote, and when everyone's inside the same household, now you have more time to communicate with your family, and now there's more time essentially to build that relationship that you weren't able to before the pandemic. And obviously, like I personally, I had the opportunity to learn cooking, start cooking new recipes. Like I know, like now I had to make my own food, which is good experience, because after the pandemic now I can learn how to live by myself. And I feel like that it's a really good experience that I got this pandemic, just because I'm able to learn new things, physically. I'm able to play new sports, try new hobbies, try painting. And those are some key things that help me even become more productive and have a really good schedule during the pandemic.
For me,
So,
the pandemic
yeah.
opened up a lot of opportunities. Like right now, like right how I'm here, I've done a broadcast interview recently with Isabella Milano. I've also taken different courses. I've taken a filmmaking course. I've taken some art therapy courses. I've done like tons of different courses just from home. So I felt like I've done a lot. I recently completed a culinary training program, and that actually benefited me a lot. So I feel like there is a lot of positivity coming out from COVID. So maybe we should look on the bright side.
For sure. And I think we have a couple of comments in the chat as well, which I think are super important. So Megan mentioned that personally, I was able to do a lot of self-reflection and learn to rely on myself far more than I used to with the increased time alone. So that's definitely a big part that you brought up, and I definitely relate to that. I think the self-reflection and the time alone definitely makes you reevaluate what the priorities are in your life, and understanding the things that are most important and where you should prioritize things. So the time alone, yes, definitely has been a challenge in some way, being far from your family and friends, but there is that point for self-reflection as well. And as Noelle mentioned as well, it's a great chance to learn new things. So with a lot of online courses on the internet, it is easy to pick up new skills that I've never had the chance to experience. For sure. I remember last summer, Harvard started with free courses you could take over the summer, and many other universities followed suit after
I've actually
that.
taken one of them. I've taken one on the economic, like structure, like infrastructure in health services. So I've actually done that over last summer. Like it was a really self-directed course, but it was really interesting. So I recommend everyone to do online courses.
For sure. Yeah, you have that flexibility, so you can, choose when you're taking them, and there's no like time crunch or the stress of writing an exam, but at the same time, you're learning a new skill. I remember last summer coding was very popular. A lot of people are wanting to get more into tech and learning about coding. So that's something also on the come up. But
even now, like what they're doing is that now they're making everything online. Like I know that many of the tech events, like hackathons, instead of being in person, now they're making it online. So now they're getting more people. Like it's more accessible to like a more of like a wider community. So now everyone's involved in this, and now they're learning new things. Right now, like
even colleges, they even have like different, like they have like free tuition. Tuition free online courses you could do, like Humber College Horticulture program, PSW, there is child development program you could do that's tuition free, and it's all funded by the government. So I think there's a lot you can get in there from all these Zoom classes and all these calls. They're benefiting everyone in some way.
And Megan also mentioned in the chat that she's been able to support the local businesses. So I've discovered so many little shops and cafes that I've never visited in my 22 years of living in Richmond. So that's super cool, and that's amazing. I think at this time, we really do encourage to support your local businesses. They've definitely had a hard time over the last year and a half, struggling, of course. So do make that a priority, and that's amazing, Megan, that you've been able to do that. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, so like we said, right, what can you do, right? So like we said, minimize social gathering, get the right amount of food, make sure that, you're eating healthy, sleep a lot, minimize the social gathering with people, only go for outside, for essential travel, go for and try new things. Like we said, read new books, support businesses, go for walks, try these new hobbies. But I feel like what the most important thing is, we as young people, we have the ability, we have the voice to bring change, right? We can educate others, we can motivate everyone else around us. And I feel like that is really the key thing that we can do today, is that we have the voice through social media. We have a big network, and we can teach our elders, especially since our elderly, our grandparents, if they're unaware of some of the measures and the protocols that can that need to be taken today, you can take that opportunity to teach them and get them involved in this, and so that they're not as unaware of what's going on around us. And you're getting them to be more safe as well, just by doing that, right? And I feel like that's one of the key things. And especially by Statistic Canada, it is said that youth are more likely to take more safety precautions than any other age groups. And this number for taking care of others has increased from 49% to 55%. And that is a really good increase. And that really shows that during the pandemic, collectively we can bring a good amount of change. As youth, we can educate everyone. And in other ways, we can, like, in terms of what can you do in the community, is really to connect with each other. Like we said, right, as youth, we have the opportunity to use social media. So LinkedIn is a perfect opportunity to connect with, I guess, those around you, connect with people on LinkedIn. If they have an opportunity for reach out to them, keep on following with them, so that you have an opportunity to, I guess, connect with them. And I feel like that would be the perfect way of staying connected. And you can even connect with them through social media. And like we said, please try new online certifications, try coding courses, and that makes you like have the skills to cope with the environment post-pandemic. And I feel like that would be crucial to succeed. Yeah, so how to stay protected? Now, we all know the basic 4 steps: keep a safe distance, wash your hands, wear a mask, and avoid non-essential traveling, right? But why should you believe us? Like why should you believe us, right? And that the reason why is because, according to Statistics Canada, it is said that critical illnesses, they have been reported in young people as well. So although we might think that we are, I guess, we might have a strong immune system, it's important that whatever steps that we take is also take into account the people around us, right? Like, think about the people around you, right? By not doing these steps and by not washing hands, I guess, and avoid these of non-essential traveling, you might put others at risk, and that you might not know. So every time you do this, you have to make sure that, you're taking into account the people around you, right? You have to be aware that your actions does so and so action. So it's better that follow them, so that you're also, protecting yourself, but you're also protecting the lives of others, especially your grandparents, protecting everyone around you. And I think that that's the best way to stay protected. Follow these key protocols and things that you can do today.
I agree. You never know when can someone be affected.
Yeah, and just for more information and what we can do, to support us during the pandemic, the mental health, like what can we do, right? And there's a small video that I would like to show you guys.
The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way we live, affecting our health and well-being.
A few simple things helped me stay positive and healthy. I make sure I do something which I enjoy every day, whether it's reading or listening to music.
I have also been practicing the guitar.
I draw and sketch sometimes. My drawings cheer up my family too. This helps me stay creative and do something for others.
I choose to cook my own healthy meals now
I remain active.
and go to sleep on time.
I study with my friends online until it is safe to return to school.
At the start of the pandemic, I thought of turning to alcohol or hurting myself, but I'm glad I didn't. Instead, I spoke to a friend for hours. My friend suggested I talk with a mental health professional. After talking to them, I feel much better and hopeful about my future again. Some things are slowly going back to the way they were before the pandemic.
But it's still important to follow physical distancing, hand washing, and other health advice.
I continue to do a few simple things every day, which helps me stay positive and healthy.
Very informative video. Do you guys have anything to comment on?
I think there's a lot of positivity in COVID-19 that we all experienced or we all have done.
Yeah, and like they mentioned, something super important if you are having those feelings of depression or anxiety is to talk to someone and to reach out, because more likely than not, other people are feeling the exact same way as you. So never feel that you're alone, and there are people, there are community support groups, your friends, peers, mentors, teachers, anyone, and I'm sure they would be more than willing to help. And if not, you can always feel free to send us a DM also on Youth for Change, and we would love to help out.
Yeah, I agree with that too, right? Like sometimes we might, feel lonely, and just when there's no hope, there's always an opportunity, to reach out to someone. I feel like that's something that we all need to recognize, that there's always a way, to cope with many of these hardships that we are facing. Reach out to people. I feel like that's the number one way to, I guess, resolve many of the issues. Reach out to people, talk to people, share your problems. I feel like, by sharing your problem with someone else is the best way to get your, the problems out there. And I feel like, that they can help you, and together you're able to cope with many of these hardships that the pandemic has caused.
Definitely don't close yourself out or close yourself off, because I definitely felt like the longer I spent alone, the less urge I felt to talk to people, because now I'm doing things on my own and I'm not that used to socializing anymore. So it's really important to make sure that you're still socializing and interacting with your friends and your family.
True, and sometimes it's always a good idea to talk to someone. And the best part is to talk to someone in your house, like your sibling, your parents, or someone, because it's always a good idea, because it's better than going outside, and sometimes it's better not to figure out who to talk to than instead of looking for someone to talk to. So there's a difference between that. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, so to move on. So like we said, the best way to, once again, is to protect yourself, right? And the best way you can do that right now is, get a vaccination or book a vaccine. If, right now, people who are 12 years and older are able to get a vaccination. Even now, people 18 years and older are also eligible to get a vaccination. So, book an appointment as early as you can, protect yourself from COVID-19. And like that, collectively, we're going towards, that, the light is there. We can see the end of the tunnel, right? We're almost there. Just we all got to hold on together. And I feel like if you guys are confused, just like how to book a vaccination, Hunyah will go over the steps on how to do so.
Thank you, Rijin. And now I'm going to show you the steps on how to book your COVID vaccine. So it's really easy. So most of you know that now everyone is eligible, so it's really easy. So what you do is you go to ontario.ca and you go and you put in there book a vaccine. So you can see there's limited appointments. That means the faster you get it, the better it is. So first you'll need your postal code. So let's just say something like this. And then you put in the public health unit. So I am just going to go with York Region, and then birth year. So let's just put in 99. And from here, you could see you could put in type of health card. We all have green health cards. So here it tells you where you can book, the nearest pharmacy, and all these locations will be available to you. So please book as soon as possible, and thank you. And now I'll pass on to my co-host Cynthia to discuss about the opportunities during COVID-19.
Also, just to add on, there are other ways you can do it as well, right? Like as Hunyah showed an amazing way of doing that, but you can also individually go to their hospital. Like for example, I know William Osler, they also have the ability that you can book an appointment from there as well. And I feel like all these resources just for you guys. We'll share a list afterwards for you, and I feel like in that way, all of you guys can book a vaccination if you haven't done so.
Yeah, we'll definitely be distributing a resource list at the end. And I just wanted to also note that now vaccinations are opening up in many regions for those 12 to 17 as well. So the age range has expanded. So even for your younger siblings or any of the youth that may be watching, please go and book your vaccine as soon as possible.
True. And there's pop-up clinics opening everywhere, in malls, in Shoppers Drugs. There's pop-up clinics in every place you can name. So vaccine is available to everyone. So please get your COVID vaccine shot. And now my co-host Cynthia will explain the opportunities in COVID, or what you can.
So what can we do to help? Well, we could start by volunteering in our community and at the vaccination clinics. We could also spread awareness and keep the people around you safe. In the third bubble, there's a link for more information about volunteering. Of course, this is just an example of one of the websites. You could also find information about that in your own area.
Yes, and check on the city website of where you're in: City of York, City of Region of Peel, City of Mississauga, City of Waterloo, anywhere. And you'll be able to find volunteer opportunities there. There's always something available for everyone.
And if you guys have any help, need help, just please feel free to message us, DM us. Follow us in all our social media platforms. LinkedIn, that's we're still working on that, but Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please subscribe. That's really important. We'll keep you guys always updated with our next steps, especially our next session is also coming up, which Jessenia will.
I see a question in the chat. I think it's Samia Rahman. She has a question. Do you guys detect any hesitancy among the youth to take COVID vaccine? Well, I recently got my COVID vaccine and I didn't have any problem at all. Just for 2 days, you have to make sure you take a lot of liquid, and after 2 days, you're fine. So I felt it was good, but it depends on who you are and how you eat. Other than that, there's no hesitation in taking a COVID vaccine. Thank you.
I think also there has been some hesitancy among the youth, and I think in general as well, amongst a lot of people. There are a lot of theories and other conspiracies that a lot of people do talk about, and that does affect, I guess, the perception of the vaccine. But at the end of the day, it's about comparing the numbers and staying true to the statistics and the facts that protecting yourself against the COVID vaccine is much higher chance of actually you're reducing the risk of getting the virus rather than any of the side effects. So definitely do talk to your doctor if you have any hesitations or anything like that. But other than that, it is recommended for everyone across Canada to take.
Yes, and we are 60%. We have people vaccinated. So if we get another 40%, every life will be back to normal. So let's hope for the best.
Awesome. Thank you for those great tips, everyone. That was really insightful. Now, before I think we wrap up the session, I want to leave some time for any questions from our audience. So if you have any questions or comments about our session, feel free to add it into the chat. Any comments, any feedback going forward. This was our first youth empowerment series, so we'd really appreciate that. And yeah, maybe we can look at any questions in the chat for now.
I think there is a few questions in there.
What would you say to the people, okay, that they have pointed out? So I think the most important thing at the end of the day is being able to differentiate between what's the truth and what's not, because being online, and I think we'll have a session on this too, there is a lot of misinformation out there. So really doing your research and only trusting things from reputable sites and from people in your life that you know you can trust is definitely something to take into consideration. And when addressing those people, at the end of the day, it's really important to stay level-headed and make sure that you're giving them an answer that's going to be best for not only themselves, but for the whole of society. Even, for example, even if one person doesn't necessarily want to take the vaccine for themselves, they do have to think about the other implications that could cause for the rest of the people. For example, some seniors living in their area or their grandparents, because as we know, the older people and seniors do have a little bit more risk of getting the COVID, especially with the increased number of there's the different types these days and the different strains. So I think that's one way to tackle that.
Yeah, and they're more vulnerable too, because it's because of their age and how they're changing. So I think they're the first ones that we should look after to get vaccinated. So I think that's something to also point out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too, right? I think the best way, like, make sure is that, whatever you do, just take into account that, you might be impacting someone else's life too. So I feel like just by taking the vaccination, you're protecting everyone else. And I feel like that's just important.
Yeah, definitely as a global citizen, it's important. So
yeah, so my dad, he actually has a weak immune system. So he was very worried about taking the vaccine, which made me hesitant as well, because he told me all these like news stories and all of these warnings. So that made me like kind of concerned about that. But ever since he got the vaccine, I booked mine immediately.
Yeah, and I think we have a comment from Megan that it's a really tough conversation to have. I had to have this conversation with my own family members, and it was definitely not easy, but it's so important to have. So definitely, it's not an easy conversation, but the more difficult conversations are definitely the ones that create the most impact. So
with me, I actually had a situation related to seniors getting affected with COVID. My grandma, she lives in a senior building in Malta, Mississauga. So she was in the 4th floor where 2 of the seniors had died from COVID, and they had no symptoms and they didn't know. So after that, everyone in the apartment building was tested, and my grandma was tested positive for COVID. So she had to isolate, and on top of that, we were unable to meet her for about 2 weeks to a month. And ever since the vaccines become available, we just got our vaccines right away. And my grandma, she luckily got it, so everything's good, so everyone's fine. So I recommend everyone to get the vaccine. On top of that, there's a lot of misinformation about the vaccine, because sometimes you can't tell. There's memes going around on social media. There's different headlines from different resources. So go to the trusted resources, and then you'll know which vaccine and where to book it from. Thank you.
Yeah, and we encourage everyone to do their own research. And yeah, hold themselves accountable for this. So it's really important at this point. So awesome, everyone. Thank you so much. Big thank you to all of my co-hosts, as well as everyone who's joined us for this live session. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to come out this evening. And we really hope that this session was informative for all. It was our kickoff, and we are really hoping that you do come out every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And for now, please stay connected to Youth for Change using our social media. Please like and subscribe. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as well as our YouTube channel. So within the next 24 hours, we'll be posting a recording of this on our YouTube. So please subscribe for that, and do share with any other family or friend members that you feel that this would be informative to. And we would love your feedback on the session and ideas for future Youth for Change sessions in the coming weeks, as we will be doing this for the next 11 weeks. So we're really excited and really looking forward to that. And any ideas, any suggestions going forward would really be appreciated. So thank you so much. And I guess I'll just briefly introduce our next session. So next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m., we will be hosting a session on job search, networking, resume, and cover letter tips, especially for the youth. So having some experience in myself with the career center of my university, I'll just be transferring some of those skills and tips that I've learned and have helped me to gain some employment. And I would love to bring that to the youth as well as my co-hosts. So we're really looking forward to seeing you back again next week. And we want to thank you all of us from all of us for joining us tonight. So have a great evening, and we hope to see you again soon. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye.